This is Mepo and the Wolf. A long time ago, in a distant land, a small boy named Mepo left his home and began traveling the wide world in search of wonder, wisdom, and knowledge. One day, Mepo was walking along a narrow mountain trail. The path wound through trees and stones, climbing steadily toward the ridge before descending into the wide fields on the other side. Mepo carried a sack slung over his shoulder with a few belongings inside, and he walked quietly, enjoying the cool wind drifting down the mountain. By midday, he reached the top of the trail. There he found the trunk of a fallen tree lying beside the path, worn smooth by weather and time. Mepo decided to sit and rest for a while before continuing his journey. He had barely settled down when the bushes nearby began to rustle. Out stumbled a wolf. The animal snarled at first, but then collapsed onto the ground. An arrow was lodged deep in its side. To Mepo's surprise, the wolf spoke. "Please," the wolf said, "help me. Hunters are chasing me. If they find me, I will surely die." Mepo stared in shock. He had never seen a talking wolf before. Then he heard it, the distant sound of roaring hoofbeats. The wolf looked toward the path in terror. "They are close," it said. "Please hide me." His eyes turned desperate. Mepo hesitated. The wolf was a dangerous creature, but it was wounded and helpless. "All right," Mepo said at last. "I will help you." He quickly emptied his sack behind the fallen tree and motioned for the wolf to crawl inside. The animal squeezed into the bag just as the thunder of horses reached the mountaintop. A hunting party rode into view. The riders wore armor and carried bows. Feathers streamed from their helmets. At their head rode a man in shining armor, with great plumes flowing down both sides of his helm. Even without being told, Mepo could guess who it must be. It was the king of those lands. Mepo bowed low. One of the generals rode forward. "We are hunting a wolf," he said. "It was struck by an arrow from our king's bow. Have you seen it?" Mepo shook his head. "No, sir." The king dismounted slowly. His eyes were stern. In a flash, he drew his sword and struck the fallen tree where Mepo had been sitting. The blade split the wood cleanly in two. "Do not lie to me, boy," the king said. "The wolf must have passed this way. Speak the truth, or you will end up like this tree." Mepo bowed even lower. "Your Majesty, I have not seen the wolf, and if I had, I would have surely ran in the opposite direction." The king stared at him for a moment. Then he scoffed, mounted his horse, and waved his hand. "We are wasting time here. Ride out, men!" The hunters galloped away just as fast as they had arrived. Only after the sound of hooves faded into the distance did Mepo finally breathe again. He untied the sack. The wolf crawled out slowly. "You saved my life," the wolf said. "Those hunters will never think to search here again." Mepo began putting his belongings back into the sack. "You are safe now," he said. "You should go your own way." The wolf watched him quietly. Then it licked its lips. "Well," said the wolf, "all this running and hiding has made me very hungry. I think I will have you for lunch now." Mepo froze. "But I just saved you." "Yes," said the wolf, And what good would it have done to save me if I simply starved afterward? By eating you, I survive. Wasn't that the point? Mepo knew the wolf's reasoning made no sense, but fear made it hard to argue. The wolf stepped closer, baring his teeth and snarling. "Wait," Mepo said quickly. "Since I saved you, you should at least grant me one request. Let us ask 3 people whether this is fair. If they agree with you, then I will not resist." The wolf thought for a moment. "Very well," it said, "but you will see that they will agree with me." Together they began walking down the mountain. Soon they came upon a lone tree standing in the middle of a field. "Ask that tree," said the wolf. "What? What would a tree know?" Mepo protested. "Just ask it, unless you want me to just eat you now." Okay, Mepo surrendered. Mepo approached and told the tree everything, how he had hidden the wolf, and how the wolf now wished to eat him. "Of course the wolf should eat you," the old tree creaked in the wind. "When I was young, people came to enjoy my fruit and sit in my shade. Now I am old and cannot bear fruit. I hear them saying they will cut me down for firewood. Gratitude does not last in this world. The wolf should eat you." The wolf wagged its tail happily. "You see, we promised to ask 3, Mepo said quickly. "That was just 1. So they continued walking until they reached a farm. Behind a fence stood an old cow. "Ask the cow," the wolf said. "First you want me to ask a tree, now you want me to ask a cow? What would a cow know?" "Fine, don't ask it. I'll just eat you now," the wolf said, licking its lips. Again, Mepo approached the cow and told the story. The cow sighed deeply. "When I was young," she began, "I gave milk and helped my master pull the plough. I worked hard for my master every day. Now that I am old, I heard the farmer's wife say they plan to slaughter me. The world runs on hunger and use. The wolf owes you nothing. Of course he should eat you." The wolf grinned. "That makes 2. "Just 1 more," Mepo said nervously. They continued on and soon saw an old man walking slowly along the road. "Let's ask the old man," exclaimed Mepo. "Fine, just hurry," replied the wolf. Mepo hurried to the old man and explained his predicament. The old man listened carefully, stroking his white beard. "Something seems strange," he said at last. "You say the wolf fits inside your sack? The wolf is much too big." "He fits," Mepo insisted. "I still don't believe you. You best show me so that I may pass my verdict," said the old man. The wolf snorted impatiently. "Fine, I will show you. Open the sack." Mepo untied the bag. The wolf squeezed inside. The moment it did, the old man pulled the cord tight and leaned close to Mepo. "Do you have a knife?" he asked quietly. Mepo handed him one. With a swift motion, the old man stabbed through the sack. The wolf gave a muffled cry and thrashed, but soon it was still. The old man wiped the blade and handed it back. "You are a kind boy," he said to Mepo, "but kindness without boundaries can be dangerous." Then he turned and continued down the road. Mepo stood there, pondering silently for a moment beside the quiet mountain path. After a while, he picked up his things and continued on his way.